Hello and welcome. My name's George, and my channel is all about helping you get the most out of Logic Pro so that you can record and produce your best music in your home studio. Today we're going to be looking at the stem splitter feature found in Logic Pro 11. We'll discuss exactly what it is, how you'll go about using it, and why you might actually want to use this in the first place. So let's dive in. Okay, so I've got 3 songs pulled up in my Logic project, and these are completed songs that have already been bounced down, and we're going to use the stem splitter feature to extract different parts from this. So that's exactly what the stem splitter allows you to do. It allows us to take a completed track that's just one file and extract the different parts from it. So we can extract the vocal, for example, or the drums, or other instruments, and either remove those completely from the song or take them out and use them on their own. I do feel the need to go over the term stem a little bit because it's something that I see talked about online a lot, and people will refer to stems the same way they would individual tracks. So stems are not individual tracks. So for example, if we're talking about drums and we talk about a drum stem, that would be one file that has all the drums. If we're talking about drum tracks, then we're talking about all the individual tracks in the drum kit. So that might be a kick track, a snare track, your overhead track, your tom tracks, etc., etc. So you'd have separate tracks for each either microphone or each drum piece in the entire kit. We're talking about stems, we're talking about a whole group of tracks. So in the case of drums, that'll be all the drums together. If we're talking vocals, then that might be all the vocals together, or you might have the lead vocal on a separate track and all the backgrounds just grouped into one stem. So I just felt the need to clear that up a little bit because I sometimes see the term stem being thrown around in not always the right context. So where I can see the stem splitter being super useful is, let's say you have an older track like some of these are, and maybe created in an old version of Logic, and you don't have, the same plugins that you used to, or they don't run on your newer machine or something like that. So that might make it hard to go back in your previous projects and adjust the mix if you need to, or to remove certain elements if you need to as well. If you ever get your song placed in TV or film, a lot of times they'll ask you for an instrumental track as well as your full track with vocals. So if you're unable to remove the vocals using the project file, then this is another way that you can do it. Another scenario might be that you had your song recorded at a different studio, and maybe they're using a different DAW or mixed using different plugins that you don't own. So if you wanted to make any changes yourself further down the road, well, then the stem splitter, this will allow you to get a little bit of flexibility and be able to tweak things a little bit yourself. So let's take a look at how this works. I've got 3 songs, as I mentioned, and they're all kind of different styles. So we can compare how well the stem splitter works for each different style. And the first one's kind of more in the pop vein. So let's have a quick listen to that.
Let's do it up and we won't stop. We gonna dance and rock out till the sun comes up. Let's do it up and we won't stop. We gonna dance and rock out till the sun comes
up. Okay, so if we were asked to, for example, provide an instrumental for this song and we weren't able to go back and tweak the mix, well then let's see how the stem splitter does for that. So you're just going to right click on the actual track, go down to processing, and here we'll select stem splitter, and here we can select what we want to separate out. So vocals, drums, bass. There's not actually guitar in this song, but I'm going to leave that checked just because I'm curious what it's going to put on that track. Piano, and then other. Now, there's also different presets. So, if you want just an instrumental, you can select that. And that'll create this submix here. So instead of bringing out all the individual tracks like we had previously selected, what it's going to do is just going to create one track, but without the vocal. Let's go back to separate all stems so that it separates out all these individual stems. So I'll go ahead and hit apply. And there we go. It created a track stack with all my individual files. And funny enough, where I said there was no guitar, it ended up not finding any and not loading anything in there. So let's just go ahead and mute that. Let's have a quick listen to everything together and see if it sounds drastically different.
Up and we won't stop. We gonna dance and rock out till the sun comes up. Let's do it up and we won't stop. We gonna dance and rock out till the sun comes up.
Cool. That actually sounds really clean with everything playing. So let's see how it did at isolating everything. So here's our vocals.
Up and we won't stop. We gonna dance and rock out till the sun comes up. Let's do it up and we won't stop. We gonna dance and rock out till the sun comes up.
Cool, that sounds pretty clean. There's still a bit of the delay in there that's baked into the effects, but that's okay. I'm curious, maybe another spot where there's some more background vocals.
The sun comes up, oh, till the sun comes up, oh, till the sun comes up, oh, till the sun comes up. Oh, we gonna dance and rock out till the sun comes up.
Right, so when we get some harmonies, those are in there as well.
Up and we won't stop. We gonna dance and rock out.
So it gets a little bit more phasey when those backgrounds are in there, but when it's just the lead, it's actually very clean. Now let's take a listen to the drums. So like I mentioned before, stem means all of the drums, not the individual drum pieces. Yeah, so the kick and clap sound really good. The hi-hats are a little bit phasey. But those sound good together. Yeah, just the hi-hats get a little bit phasey, but in the mix, I wasn't hearing that at all. And let's check out the bass. Right, so there's a few different kind of lower end synth parts. So those kind of got grouped together. Cool, but that's all workable. And the piano. Piano sounds good. And other, let's see what it happened with other. That's probably kind of the filter sweeps and things, I would imagine. So basically all the kind of synth stuff got thrown into other. So that's really cool. I'm quite impressed with how that turned out. And then from here, you can mix and match what you want. So if you want to get rid of the vocals, mute that. If you need to tweak the mix, you need to bring the vocals up a bit, you can do that. Bring the drums down, whatever it is you want. You have, a lot more control than just the entire kind of mixed down song. So that's pretty cool. I'm actually kind of using this for the first time myself as well. So I'm pretty impressed with how that all worked. Now let's check out another song I have here, which is, this is more in kind of the folk rock vein. I'll just play a little bit of that.
Well, see, I'm running from the past, just steps behind. Getting tired, running circles in my mind. And some days I wish I had a master plan to keep my weary head from going under. But it's been too long years since I had legs to stand, and I'm getting used to stumbling.
Cool. Let's see how it does with kind of this more acoustic genre of music. So again, right click, go to processing, stem splitter, and I'll select everything again. There's no piano, but there is organ. So I'm curious where that ends up. Might end up on other, but let's just see what happens. Okay, so here we go. So nothing got put on piano, so I'm assuming the organ got set on other. Let's have a listen to the vocals here.
One of these days I'll be a better man. One of these days I'm sure you'll make me honest.
Yeah, pretty clean. On the vocal, there is kind of the slap back delay. So kind of hearing that a little bit in there.
See, I'm running from the past, just steps behind.
And let's see, there's should be two voices, I think, in the chorus.
It's been too long years since I had legs to stand, and I'm getting used to stumbling.
Yeah, so it seems like when there's more than one voice, it gets a little bit more phasey, but still pretty good.
Keep my weary head from going under. But it's been too long years since I had legs to stand.
Very cool. Let's check out the drums. Yeah, the cymbals are always a thing, it seems, that are a little bit on the phasey side, but sounds pretty good. And I do really like this for, if you have drums recorded for, acoustic bass songs, then you can always, instead of using the Logic drummer, for instance, take the drum track from things you've recorded and create a new song over top of it. Let's check out the bass. So there's no synth bass or anything in this one, so this will just be electric bass. Yeah, so much cleaner than the synth bass of the other songs. That's all great. And let's guitar. There's two guitars. There's an acoustic guitar and an electric guitar in here. That got separated nicely. Now you can hear they're panned left and right. So if you did want to isolate the acoustic or the electric, you could probably just pan and isolate it that way. Right now we're just getting the electric. There's some of the electric reverb in the left side there. But getting a little bit more of the acoustic. So you can play with that a little bit depending on the track you've got. And other, I'm assuming this is going to be the organ. Great. Yeah, I'm very impressed with how this is working. Okay, so last song I've got. This is more of a kind of Afro funk with horns and things. So there's actually no vocals in this one. So let's try this again, stem splitter. And yeah, there's no vocals. There's no piano, there's organ. So let's see how this one does. Okay, so I'll just play a little bit of the whole thing so you can get an idea of that. So it's all instrumental to begin with. So yeah, didn't put anything on the vocal track. I thought maybe it would put the horns on there, but I'm guessing those maybe got put in other. No, we'll see in a moment. So let's listen to the drums. So there's some percussion in there as well, some congas and shekere. So those all got mixed in with the drums, but overall that sounds great. And this could totally be a song where you just take the drums and create something new out of it. Let's check out the bass. So your standard electric bass. So that came out great. Now again, there's two guitars in this one. And these ones are panned, again, left and right. So I think should be able to isolate these ones. Let's just have a listen. So a little bit of the reverb in the left, but otherwise can pretty cleanly isolate the two guitars. Now, there's no piano, so I'm curious to see what they put on the piano track. So put some of the guitar on there. Let's see it. And put some of the organ. Now, in others, so that this should be all the horns and the organ, I guess, as well. Cool. So I get kind of the instrumental equivalent for this one. Might be, just the bass and drums. Let's. So it's very cool. So I'm very impressed with how that all worked. I'm a little bit shocked and surprised, actually. So as I mentioned before, there's a lot of ways that you can use this for your own tracks. If you're using Stem Splitter with other people's songs, then you're getting into a bit of a copyright issue there. But even with material that you've recorded and created yourself, there's a lot of cool uses for it, and be able to recover tracks if you've lost a session, or as I mentioned, the session, somebody else recorded the session, or in a DAW that you no longer have access to, plugins you no longer have access to, and then just being able to, isolate drums, for example, and use drum loops in new songs or any of the parts. I can totally see myself doing that. Grabbing some drum tracks from a bunch of different songs and coming up with new songs based on those tracks. So I hope you found that helpful. If you've got any questions, please make sure to leave those in the comments below. And if you want to improve your workflow in Logic Pro, don't forget to download my free Ultimate Logic Pro Starter Pack. This includes my Logic Pro hotkey cheat sheet, my audio recording guide, my mixing guide, my gear guide, and my Logic Pro session templates. I hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you in the next one.